one thing that I didn't realise at the time with the FIFA commentating situation is that there was a career there that I didn't know was a career. And again, there's a great quote that my friend Richard, who we work together. So just a bit of information about Richard. So me and Richard, we joke around, we call ourselves like the Ant and Dec of FIFA. Okay. So in a lot of sports and esports, everyone has a commentary duo. Yeah. So for example, if you put on TV, football, and you see Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, they're the duo. If you go and watch, I don't know, Rocket League, there's a duo there. Or FIFA, you might get Brandon and Richard, or you might get Alan Smith and Martin Tyler, right? Yeah. But we created a bit of a duo, me and Richard. So Richard is really one of my good friends. We work together. He's from Barnsley. We both met at university studying the exact same degree. Okay. And we both went in to create this commentary duo together. And that's how we discovered FIFA esports together. And that's how we created a career. But Richard said a great quote 1 year down the line. And he said, this could either be a hobby or we could make this into a career now. Because when I first started out, I was getting paid, pennies and to commentate because there was no career in it. And then as the time went on and we got booked for more tournaments and more tournaments started to emerge, that's when you can start charging a day rate or you can charge a better revenue fee. And that's when you can start making it into a full-time career. So at the time, I guess you could say we were one of the first to really come in as just FIFA commentators. There was other esports commentators that covered FIFA, but there was never just FIFA commentators. All they do is they just commentate FIFA. They don't commentate on different sports. They don't commentate on different games. It's just FIFA, which is risky. But if you make yourself known and you're sort of top in that field, which touch wood I'd say we are, there's a market there, if that makes sense.
How much can an average FIFA commentator make a year?
It's a great question. I reckon commentating FIFA or esports games, you can make anywhere between £100 a day to over £1,000 a day.
Or £1,000 a day. Depending
on what game you're involved in, what game you're covering. But also let's remember that there are tournaments run over 2 or 3 days. So you could be getting £300 or £3,000 a weekend. But the problem is with that, it's a freelance job, right? So there's no guarantees. 1 month you get 4 tournaments. In 3 months you get 1 tournament.
So how do you cope with that inconsistency, I would say?
Well, that's where you have to look at different sources of income. So for example, I make other revenue sources now from live streaming. So I live stream, I play FIFA, which allows me to sort of grow my brand, connect with people that maybe watch me commentate or watch FIFA or like FIFA. Also, as you know yourself, the likes of TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, you get ad deals on those. So I was very much aware of that because there's people that are in esports as commentators and it's difficult because you go into a weekend where there's just, you're having the time of your life, you're commentating on this tournament, it's crazy. And then on the Monday morning, it's done. And you can feel a little bit sort of in a depressive state on that in some ways because you're like, what's next now? You go back to maybe you could say normal life, so to speak. Yeah. That's why it's so important to fill your time with other things. That's why I was lecturing for a period of time. But also now I'm thinking, right, how can I build my brand? How can I create another source of income? And that was why I'm going to make videos. I'm going to bring people on the journey a little bit more. What is a day in the life of a FIFA commentator? One of my biggest goals this year is, people know me for pack openings and whatnot, but one of my biggest goals this year is to I want people to know who Brandon Smith is. I want people to know, what is a FIFA commentator, a little bit more about me, not just the guy that gets excited because they pack, Pele or something on those lines. And that's what I'm trying to bridge the gap on this year because I think there is a market there. As you said, people are like, what is a FIFA commentator? How is that a job? And I think I would love just to take people on that journey with me, just to show what you can do in life. It doesn't have to be FIFA. It can be a different sport. It can be a different hobby. It can be a different game. I just think there's a lot to unfold there.
I think I really like that. And I think most people really want to see the behind the scenes. And that's what people fall in love with the person for. And that's one of my things as well, which I'm trying to do now, is build the connection between my followers as well. With that being said, FIFA itself, as you already mentioned, is risky. And FIFA, I think from next year, if I'm not right, is not with EA Sports anymore. So those kind of things coming up, do you think that will have an impact on your kind of career you have in that sense?
So let me just explain that. Because as you know, FIFA and EA are splitting next year. There's a lot of panic at the moment to what this means. As far as I'm aware, all it means is that the game is just not called FIFA anymore. Because what people don't realise is that EA Sports is their game. So FIFA Ultimate Team is their thing. When you see players like Ronaldo in the game and Messi in the game, that's EA Sports that have got the license with those players and the teams and the kits. For example, when you saw Pro Evolution Soccer in past times not have Arsenal and it was like London Red or North London Red, that's because they didn't have a license with Arsenal or the Premier League, so to speak. EA Sports have got all of these licenses. All they're going to lose, if I'm correct, is the name and probably the FIFA World Cup mode in the game. Those are the only two things that are going missing. Yes, the game is going to be called EA Sports FC, but other than that, I see no changes. So there's a lot of panic, I feel, when there isn't any need for the panic, if that makes sense. Like nothing's going to change unless you are that person that goes into the shop to buy your son FIFA and you don't know what the game is and you're buying whatever the new FIFA is going to be called. That's the honest truth.
That makes sense, because I was thinking about it. I'm like, does that mean less people will buy FIFA, less people will play? But if the game's going to be the same, then there's probably hardly going to be, because as we spoke just before the podcast started, I stopped playing FIFA after I think FIFA 16 and never been on it back again. But I think FIFA has changed a lot back then. Which one was your favorite? Just out
favorite FIFA for me, or sort of peak childhood, would probably be like FIFA 13. So that would have been 10 years ago now. So what would have been 15 years old? You know, a lot of my childhood I spent down the field playing football, then on the PlayStation at night playing either Call of Duty or FIFA. And like those were the ultimate teen years that I really enjoyed, because one, it wasn't my job back then, and two, I could just enjoy it for what it is. And I think for me, FIFA 13 was my favorite. What about you?
14. The reason why I say 14 is because 13 is when I actually started playing Ultimate Team online, and I was crap. I lost every single match. And then 14 was the game where I almost reached season 1. I think I did season 3 or 4 max. After that, I was not as good. So I've never been. Have you been season 1?
One time, but to be honest, I just play Foot Champions. That's the mode for
this
me.
New thing, Foot Champions, which I've never played actually, because even Arpan, he plays that a lot, and I don't know what it's about. I think you get coins and packs and everything from that.
It's basically like a competitive mode. It used to be 40 games, so you play from Friday morning until Monday morning. You don't have to play obviously non-stop, but you have a window of 72 hours, I think it is, to play these games. And it used to be 40 games a weekend, which was crazy. 40 games a weekend. Every game takes about 25 minutes or so. You do the math, it's a lot of time. Then it was 30 games. Now it's 20 games a week, which is a lot more feasible for FIFA players. So basically you play that, and it's the one where you can earn packs for free, basically. So you can play the game. If you're really good, you know, the pro players go 20, you know, they don't lose a game, and you get like really good rewards, or sometimes you get good rewards. Okay. But it's basically a way that you can play the game, grind the game, and get packs for free without spending a penny.
I might have to jump on it just to check that out.
but you might hate it. So it's a bit of a war out there.
Talking about hate and kind of the passion side of it. So just before the podcast, I asked this question as well, but also when Richard, your friend, said, let's turn the hobby into an income. And I feel like when you turn a hobby into an income, sometimes you get this feeling of, it's like last guest on this podcast put it in a nice way. If you are given 10 cookies, you have one, you will like it. You have 2, you will like it. You have 3, you will like it. But you have 10, you feel like vomiting. Does it get to a point where you're doing like this FIFA thing over and over again, and you're just, it's like you don't have the same love for it anymore? How do you overcome that?
I think you're right. I think the way that your other past guest explained it was probably the best way, because I'll give you an example. So FIFA 19, which was 3 years ago now, before COVID, was our best ever year in terms of we had bookings. I'm talking like 2 or 3 weekends every month for like an 8-month period, and we were going to all these different locations. We were down in London most weekends, then would go to, these FIFA events take place in different areas. We were in Romania for a period of time, quite a bit. I went to Romania 4 times in about 3 months, which was a bit crazy. I've never been to Romania ever since either. It was a lovely place when we were there. You go to Sweden, Denmark, Norway, the list, Spain, Germany, it was constant, and it was great. I loved it. And so many moments, I was like, this is amazing. Like I'm literally living what I really wanted to happen. But it probably got to maybe like 6 months in, when you commentate on that much FIFA, it becomes really repetitive. And I'm sitting there in post games and post tournaments, I'm starting to think, am I sounding repetitive? Because I feel like I just sound the same. And like, I wouldn't say it got to a point where I didn't enjoy it, but it just felt like I was not maybe improving, or maybe I felt like I wasn't doing justice for the tournament, but I think I was very much in my own head then. And I don't think anyone that was listening would have ever picked that up, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I agree to the point. I think very much with social media, very much with uploading videos. Like for example, this year and for the last 6 months, I've been in a habit of, for me, I have to upload a video on TikTok every day, Instagram every day, a YouTube short, a Facebook video. I have to upload content every single day. And there's days, don't get me wrong, where I hate it. And I sit there and I'm like, this isn't fun. This is like, it's annoying. But at the same time, I'm like, it's just 1% every day, 1% every day, and it will snowball and it will just keep going. And that's the best thing I ever did, getting into the habit of uploading content every single day. Good content is a game changer. You can't do it once every 3 days, once every week, because I sat there on my Instagram for a period of time because I just think it's, social media. If I didn't need it, I wouldn't have it. And I I hold myself to that. If I didn't need it for my job, I don't think I'd honestly have it, because in the honest way, it's another sort of income. It builds your brand. It lets people follow your journey, no matter the platform you're on. But there's brands out there, and there's social media marketing, there's influencer marketing, which depending on how many followers you have is a really feasible income. There's people who do that. That's their full-time job, as you know, the big celebrities. But it just gets to that point, doesn't it, where it becomes so repetitive. But as I was saying on Instagram, I was just not growing. I was not growing. And I was like, well, the reason you're not growing, brand, is because you upload once and all you're uploading is a picture, right? So it's probably about 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago now. It must have been like May time last year. And I was just sitting there and I was thinking, how can I get this Instagram moving? And I found Reels. Yes. And I posted a few and I was like, it makes my page look ugly. And I was getting in my own head about it. And then someone said to me, well, Brandon, you can actually hide the Reels. So if you're that worried about it, you can hide them. And I was like, oh yeah, I could if I really care about it, or I could just delete them down the line. So I was like, okay, let's start uploading Reels. And I was just amazed on the reach I was getting from some of these Reels of me at FIFA tournaments, or me speaking to FIFA pro players, or me playing the game. And the growth was incredible. And I remember I had 90,000 Instagram followers in May 2020. And today, as we film this podcast, 250,000 just ticked over just from a reel from Reels every single day of different things. And the push you get is incredible. Short form content for me has completely changed the game for me. I gained, I think, like 600,000 new followers last year. Just from I'm not saying that in an ego way. I just from a man that really wants to find the algorithms out on these platforms and to beat the platform, so to speak. Yeah. 600,000 new followers last year. And my success to that is just short form content.